Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. The Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, approved disbursements to Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia following their requests under the Rapid Credit Facility mechanism, with a combined US $65.6 million to help cover their balance of payment needs stemming from the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. St. Lucia is set to receive US $29.2 million. The pandemic has hit these largely tourism-dependent countries very hard. Tourism inflows essentially came to a halt in mid-March 2020, with ripple effects across other sectors. The closure of the borders, coupled with the curtailment of commercial activity, has had a debilitating impact on these economies. A drop in fiscal revenues, combined with additional direct health and social expenditures, will temporarily increase the fiscal deficit and financing needs. IMF support will help cover some of these needs and allow the governments to ease the impact on the population, such as upgrading public health facilities and providing social assistance to the vulnerable and adversely affected sectors. In other news, the president of the Southern Minibus Association has confirmed that the membership has opted not to resume service on the 2H route. It means that drivers will remain out of work. The members say they are awaiting better conditions before they resume service. During the partial shutdown of the country as part of COVID-19 protocols, public transportation, particularly for longer routes, has been greatly impacted. On Tuesday, Transport Minister Guy Joseph gave the go-ahead for 2H and 3F drivers to resume services from the southern to the northern zone. However, commuters who were expecting drivers to resume services were greatly disappointed. On Wednesday, the president of the Southern Minibus Association, Philip Jabatis, confirmed that the drivers will not be returning to the route just yet.
The thing about it is we cannot operate a system where we have 9 people, which we don't have a problem with that. And then, but plus there is a border, and everybody on board expects to have a paper from the employer saying that they are going to work so and so. Now, when you bring those people, you don't have anybody to bring back. At times, you think gases for 6-7 hours, 12 o'clock, gases close after 12. You thought it's the same thing. Who do you transport? Now, the buses we have, which runs the road at times, to bring people up and down whilst we are in operation, they cannot run the road. So that does not make any sense for the 2H to be able to operate. So on that basis, we have said that the 2H has stopped operating, or in fact, we are unable to operate until better conditions.
Shamatis says for drivers to resume their services, there has to be some sort of change in the current circumstances. Otherwise, he says, it makes no financial sense for drivers to be back on the road.
5 weeks we have not worked at all. And then it has, it is a strain, but I'm saying people have done without that, they're surviving. So unless there is a better condition where the 2H should be able to operate, or people can have the confidence, so far, which I realize there's 2 cases this morning, new cases of COVID. But since people are not moving anywhere to go to Castries or then we cannot come to Vieux Fort, it does not make sense for the 2H to operate because, economically it's not good for us. Our tax and everything, it's just a matter, it's going to be at a full loss all about the place. So we prefer that, we are unable to work at this time until there's better conditions that is offered for the 2H drivers.
When you speak of the better conditions, what do the members have in mind? Is it that it's a return to full commercial activity, some sort of discount on fuel? I know that was suggested.
Well, that was suggested at the meeting, a discount on fuel, or maybe if so then, there could be any incentive, throughout the day or the week as to whatever one makes if there was supposed to operate.
The president acknowledges that the members have been hit hard by COVID-19. Being out of work, he says, has not been easy, but resuming at this time, he says, still does not add up. As of the 29th of April, the Ministry of Health has announced an additional 2 cases of COVID-19. This being the first instance of such an announcement in about 2 weeks. Our cameras caught up with members of the public for their reaction to this development.
On April 28, 2020, St. Lucia received the results of 44 tests conducted for COVID-19. Of this batch, 42 returned negative and 2 returned positive. Today, the public reacts to the news of these 2 confirmed cases.
Well, I hope the Prime Minister understands trying to open up the country to the full extent should take into consideration what you just said there. 2 COVID more cases.
I don't think we were boasting. We were saying what took place in St. Lucia with the people who are suffering with corona. Now, as you all are saying, there are 2 cases. If there are 2 cases, we should expect more or expect it to reduce back to 0, right? Now, the fact of the matter is that I like that the borders are shut down, although I do work at the port as a stevedore. I will bear the pain. I will bear with it. Because, for instance, I'm glad the country shut down in one way. Because if the country open, people will be drinking a lot of alcohol and people will be vulnerable. They might end up places that have corona, they don't know. They just touch something or somebody hurt them or something and they end up having corona, bringing it to a whole family. I think one of the best things, I saw something on a phone that government went to IMF. Government get $29 million for St. Lucia. Since St. Lucia have $29 million, I think that's enough that we could start up the economy.
Well, all you have to do is wear your mask and be clean, and then everything's going to be all right.
To me, like the government, to me, just have to do a house-to-house testing to ensure that everybody is safe on the island, and there is no other cases in St. Lucia. And people have to be more aware and be more vigilant and be more careful.
Shut down the country again. Shut down the whole entire country. And I want to know where the 2 new cases come from. Where they come from? Overseas or St. Lucia itself? I want to know, overseas or St. Lucia? If it's overseas, shut down the whole country again. If it's St. Lucia, okay, we limit the country.
We need to be more careful and vigilant.
Right now, basically, unless Europe and the United States, everything is clear from their perspective, then we have to keep our border safe. And even though it's just 2 cases that is reported at this point in time, but we cannot lay back and say we're all right, we're doing okay. The answer is we still have to take the preventative measures of social distancing, our face masks, wash our hands, and listen to all the protocols. All right? And if we keep that social distancing, because we are a small economy, we are so vulnerable. We don't even have a healthcare system to take care of our people. So we cannot relax until we are doing okay. We just have to stand firm and let's bodyguard everything we got to do.
Open the country, but we can't open the country one time. We have to look at the money, we have to budget it, we have to check what we have to do, and then we will take it from there. Because I'm hoping that St. Lucians behave themselves. The bad behavior and the attitude, don't care, and those kind of things, especially the young ladies and the young men, they have to protect themselves. Because if not, we'll have that spreading all over in St. Lucia. That is why I went against that Friday night thing since they are corona. Nowhere shouldn't have no Friday night, nothing.
As this situation continues to develop, stay tuned to Hot 7 TV for the latest on St. Lucia's COVID-19 situation. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Opposition MPs and senators once again boycotted the Governor General's throne speech. Given the history of such behavior by the opposition, members of both sides of the House shared their views on the action.
Following yet another boycott of the throne speech delivered by the Governor General, we took to the House of Parliament to ask the nation's leaders for their take on the matter. Here's what they had to say.
I know that last year the reason that was stated, it was issues that they may have had that happened years ago politically with the current Governor General. That's how many years ago was that? 1987. I just hope that yesterday's walkout wasn't along the same lines, because I think it would be simply laughable, and it shows that as a country we should not be harboring resentments of any kind, but I think we have to recognize if there is something that has happened that we don't like, we express that, but we need to move on. But when you get to a stage where you carry a resentment for many, many years, it means that you're very toxic, and it means that you're full of hate. And we need love, not hate at this time.
It's clear. We believe that the party has taken a decision that we do not support the appointment. We were not consulted on the appointment. So we refuse to say this to the throne speech.
Well, it is very unfortunate that the opposition are continuing in that vein of not attending, not staying for the throne speech by the Governor General. It shows a lot on their character, and the people of St. Lucia should be able to make comprehensive decisions as to which party is the best party to lead this country, especially at this critical time.
But as usual, we do not sit in for the joint session where the Governor General addresses Parliament.
And that will remain until the end of this Parliament?
Hopefully that will be the last time he'll be doing so. As you know, it's the start of every session. So,
when we assume positions, we represent an office. And once we represent, the fact that we assume that position, the fact that we have been elected or selected or appointed, it is the office that speaks, not the individual. So when the Governor General comes to the throne and delivers that speech on behalf of the Queen, it is the Governor General, the office of the Governor General, delivering on behalf of the Queen.
Well, it appears that the opposition is still standing strong by their position on this matter, while the government remains disheartened by their reasoning for doing so. Port 7 News, I am Jacqueline.
Citizen security, justice, and the management of St. Lucia's borders were key features of the throne speech presented by the Governor General on Tuesday, the 28th of April. Governor General His Excellency Sir Emmanuel Neville Snack was charged with outlining the legislative agenda of the government for the fiscal year 2020-2021 in his throne speech on Tuesday. He noted that in the upcoming year, the government will intensify efforts to reduce serious crime through the full implementation of the Safe City Closed-Circuit Television Initiative and continued implementation of the community policing strategy. He also announced that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force will be restructured to improve efficiency and efficacy. He noted that forensics are the way of the future and the government is committed to boosting the island's capacity in this area.
The plan to transform forensic services in St. Lucia by 2022 will continue, with specific focus on the enactment of the Criminal Investigations Deoxyribonucleic acid DNA bill, which will provide for DNA analysis and testing in the investigation and prosecution of offenses.
The Governor General further highlighted the importance of protecting the borders, even while participating fully in the international arena. In this regard, the St. Lucia Border Control Agency will be created, comprising Customs and Excise, Immigration, the Police Marine Unit, and quarantine functions.
The St. Lucia Border Control Agency Act will establish the agency and set out related governance arrangements. A modern border management system, which will be an integral element of the agency's operations, will permit a more efficient flow of people and goods while enhancing risk assessment and border control.
Sir Emmanuel Neville Snack stated that as the government seeks to secure the health and well-being of the nation with health as a priority, it is not blind to the fact that criminal activity does not lend itself to quarantine or isolation, nor is it easily daunted by national borders. It is with this in mind that government remains committed to citizen security and justice. This is the Hot 7 TV Night News. There's more coming up after the break.